Hey everybody, welcome to Mayfield Fitness. This video and this week's gonna be a little different. This video is an interview of my father, the original Mayfield Fitness athlete, one of the guys who inspired me to start a fitness company that's based around mental health. This is dedicated to him and about him for Father's Day. Stay tuned, I hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome to Mayfield Fitness.
Superheroes.
I love you, Dad.
Superhuman strength is only something you read about in comic books. They say men can't fly and they can't breathe underwater. That's because they don't know my dad.
Many people say you're their hero, but who's your hero?
Who's my hero? All right. That's a great question. Well, I think my dad is my hero because he's someone that I look up to every day. And my dad.
My name is Brock Mayfield. I am a retired Air Force of 32 years. I worked in aircraft maintenance. Currently, I'm a systems engineer with Raytheon Technologies. And
how old are you?
I am 55 years old and married to a beautiful young lady who's a teacher and living currently in Tucson, Arizona.
How do you know Aaron?
I know Aaron. I've known him for almost 29 years, seeing he is my son. Doing admirable things with the Texas National Guard, and I appreciate everything he's doing currently for not only our current soldiers, but our former soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen.
You do know he's going to be 30.
Yes, he's going to be 30.
As a father, you have always been in the gym, always worked out, and what is your drive to continue?
I guess I've always been a gym rat at some way or fashion or form. I was a kid. I kind of did it just as it was a way of all the guys hanging out. As I got older, we kind of did the same thing. But then as life happened, you kind of use it as a stress relief. At the same time, I use it to kind of focus myself. It's the time that I can gear myself up for the day, or in some aspects gear myself down for the day. So I do also believe that it's healthy to get to the gym, as I see my parents sometimes deteriorating because of lack of time to exercise. I think it's important that you continue. I do believe that exercise is good for the relationship, whether it's your significant other or just your relationships at work. I think from my aspect, for my wife and I, we do a lot of hiking. We do it together. We get to have meaningful conversations. At the gym, it started out as trying to be the heat person, and over time I think it's just to maintain or sustain the body without trying to kill it. So I think it's very valuable that that we maintain a health for longevity. Hopefully that I can live as long as my grandmother, who is 99 this year, who's whether she was in the gym or not, she used to walk, she used to do exercise, keep the body not only physically healthy but mentally healthy.
More specifically, what is the importance to what you're doing in the gym today?
I think today is just maintaining longevity and health. I think it's not only mental health and physical health, but also kind of gives you the focus for the start of the day. I know when I get to the gym early in the morning, allows me to clear my mind. It allows me to maintain focus throughout my day, and then feel good about myself that I don't have to be tired or exhausted by the end of the day.
What goals do you have for the gym? Stronger, leaner, healthier, get frustration out, or something else?
I think that's two aspects. One is to become healthier in the aspect of maybe leaner. I do need to work on some aspects, i.e. my belly. But at the same time, you work out some of the frustrations. You can use it to rid yourself of any frustrations that might be either at work or at the house or just in life in general. But just to be able to use it to clear the mind and understand that you can work out those frustrations there and then clear your mind and make good decisions, sound decisions, or at the same time clear your mind and have good, healthy relationships, whether at home or at work.
As an Air Force retired veteran of 32 years, to include your time in the National Guard, what's the biggest lesson you have learned over the years?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned after I retired is that you have to have a good work-life balance, but at the same time, you only have one life to live in that aspect that you have to live it to its fullest. I think the hardest part about being in the service is that, yes, we do deploy. And it's not just always in the combat situation, but you always deploy for training before, and then you have aspects after, but you lose a lot of time with your family that you can't replace. I think that's the lesson that if I had to go back again, I probably wouldn't have volunteered as much as I did. But I think that it's important that you have that when you're home. You need to concentrate on the family. You need to give it a bigger effort because it's always going to be there, and then when you retire, you have to let it go to understand that there's going to be people there that's going to continue on. I think some regrets that I have, some lessons I learned is that, one, I missed my son's graduation. Although I did get to see on the video, that doesn't take the place of being there in person. I think that affected our relationship. Hopefully, we can put that behind us. But at the same time, I've learned that it's now time to be a grandfather. As we would say, I'm Papa Chief, is to now take care of my grandsons and be able to help my son out in those kind of situations.
What has been the biggest struggle? Or maybe you've already discussed that, but.
I think the biggest struggle for me, not only as I progressed in the ranks, but as I retired, is that, in the civil organizations, there's not as much familyism. We were a family in the military, but at the same time, the biggest struggle is that, sense of worth. In the military, we portray or we give a sense of worth no matter what rank you are. And I think as I progressed through, I always wanted to be that avionics technician or that radio operator. It was always great to be the next rank and to be the leader, but then you lose some of that in with the airmen, because you were now the leading versus the actually doer. At the same time, when I left the service, I think the hardest part was did I leave it in a better place? I hope I did. I see, some of the fruits of the things that I did, i.e. the way we're changing our curricular structure. But you do have to see that as a struggle in the aspect, that you kind of feel left out. In a civil organization such as Raytheon, we don't have that familyism. If the purpose or the goal of each thing is a little bit different. It's more monetary versus, family-oriented. So I do try to bring that to my work that I'm doing. I do believe I've built a team that has done that. Just wish it was a little bit more.
What is the hardest thing to deal with mentally, and what mental health issues do you still struggle with today, to include issues you bottle up and hide or ignore?
post deployment, we often think everything is okay, and we want to portray everything as okay. And being a leader in every deployment, whether you're leading a flight, whether you're leading an aircraft maintenance unit, or whether you're leading a squadron, you think that everything's going to be okay because you're looking out for them, but you fail to look at some of the things internal to yourself. I think the things that I struggled with was anger. I think with frustration. I think with internally to wanting my way or the highway. So you say that because you go home, and I'll bring a prime example is that, and we laugh about it in the family. But I remember coming home from one of the deployments and my children asking me, what time should we be home? And I said, 12 o'clock. And little did I know that they're all giving, behind me, giving me this face like, what are you talking about, Dad? What do you mean 12 o'clock? I'm a senior in high school, or, and my wife said, I guess after I left that, I will pick you up at 2 o'clock. So I think that was the hardest struggle. Not so much that it was the usurping anybody's authority, it's the fact that coming back into the life of the family and understanding the things that changed as you left, good or bad, and it's not bad in any aspect because they had to learn to survive without you during the deployment. But just the overall, and I think some of the things that deployment are very, very stressful. Whether it's a day-to-day function, whether it's trying to get the mission accomplished, whether it's just trying to live out the whole deployment, is that you get back and there's frustration and anger that you have based off of you not understanding the criticality of the current at-home mission or the in-garrison mission, but just the frustration overall in that things have changed, and so some aspects I think most military individuals believe that the family has moved on. In reality, they haven't moved on. They just have survived like you had, and you expect to go home to the same environment. Well, you are home in the same environment, but things are different because, again, they've had to survive without you. They've had to make adjustments, whether it's your son trying to do the maintenance of the house, whether it's your daughter having to pick up some of the chores, or whether it's your wife just trying to make things happen, whether getting the kids to their sports or their after-school activities and still maintain a job, and then still maintain a household. So we always want to come back there and be the back to normal, but it's not. And I think that's the frustration. It's not so much the frustration, it's how we deal with it. I think internally myself, it was tough. And still today, I always wanted to raise my kids as very, very independent, but yet then I felt, wait a minute, they're not depending on me, and I think there was, that little frustration internally to me. I do have some anger management issues. I do try to work on it. My wife helps me every day, I think, whether she understands it or not, but she does help me every day in trying to be able to overcome those. But we do come back a different person, and whether it's based off the experiences we experienced as a deployment, or whether it's the stuff that we experience because they've had to survive while we're gone.
I thought you were going to bring up telling me how to sweep issue. How do you handle those issues? How do you handle your frustration or your anger?
I think just very related to the first question that was asked. I think going to the gym, going to work out. At the same time, I've learned over time that yes, I do have my time that I need to spend at the gym, but I think it's important that you do have the family aspect. So, good example, or two good examples, is one is that how do I handle those things? Well, my wife and I go on hikes on weekends, and we do have meaningful conversations. I've also learned over time that you have to engage in conversations, because sometimes we come back and the first thing we see is a change and we clam up, but you have to engage, you have to force yourself to engage in those conversations. The second example is just going out there and doing activities with the family. Whether it was, meant or not, I think when my grandson, came to visit us in Tucson in the summers, I look forward to every afternoon going to the pool with him and just watching him play or playing with him. Very similar to what I would do with my kids when they were younger. We'd go to the pool. That was something that we did. At the same time, just seeing his discovery. So those are the things that I would do to help overcome that. Doing something of joy, doing something that was pleasure. My grandson has taught me, I think, to not feel those frustrations, because he's discovered every day, whether he means that or not. But he's teaching me every day that it's okay to let certain things go and not have to be so regimented in life.
All right, what is the scariest moment in your military career, and what was the hardest moment to deal with in your military career? So there's two questions.
I think the most scariest moment was probably one of my deployments is when you have an incident that happens, whether it's an incoming round or whether it's one of the cross the wire attacks, whatever you want to call them, is not knowing, is your team okay? When you deploy a unit in excess of 300 people, it's very difficult to know how things are going and are they okay, and have you accounted for every one of them? Have you ensured that they are all healthy and safe, and being able to bring all, as we used to say in the 480th, we're going to bring all 480 people home safely. I think the scariest moment is that post-event that happens, is that, are they okay? You're scared, your own pins, your needles, trying to make accountability. And that's where some of the frustration, probably, and some of the anger comes in, because you're wanting immediate answers to make sure that everybody is accounted for. And I think those are the scary points, that you can't explain to anybody in that aspect.
And the hardest moment to deal with in your military career?
The hardest moment to deal with. I think the hardest moment to deal with is my first deployment to Iraq. Post that deployment, we had a young staff sergeant was married, had kids. Lo and behold, we did not know that his wife had left him during that deployment. And to come to find out, as I moved on to another unit, that he had gone home and committed suicide. It was the hard part, because this young individual was a very, very disciplined, very, very happy, very good leader, and not once did we know that he was had issues at home. And you always ask, okay, should we have asked the third, the fourth, and fifth questions? Yes, we come home and we do get that time to speak with mental health folks and be able to get time to kind of decompress. But not once did we know that she had left. And after the investigation had happened, we discovered that we should have known that probably midway through the deployment. But again, those are the hard points that you get that you have to deal with, and you shouldn't have to deal with, but you do, and you don't know. And that's where, again, I go back to that familyism, having to tell the spouse, the mother and father that he had committed that suicide. I think that was the difficult part.
What has been the biggest lesson you have learned since you first joined up to now that you are retired?
I think the biggest lesson I learned is to enjoy it, life. I enjoy every moment of it. As my wife would tell you, I joined the service because I was a victim of a misplaced childhood, as I like to say it, or basically didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then, of course, the military brought focus, brought direction, The biggest thing I think it was to me was, I was able to achieve my degree, although at least I go to school continuously. But at the same time, just enjoy everything. I think the hardest part for me was I was always thinking about, I got to make that next rank, when I should just enjoy the moment. At the same time, enjoying, being in the military, because 32 years goes really quickly. It is quicker than you believe. I remember walking in, stepping on Tech Sergeant Williams' boots as I got off the plane, or I got off the bus, to Colonel Stevens pinning my last decoration on me and telling me I'm retired. It goes really quick. So I think just enjoy the time, cherish every moment you have. You're going to be learning the entire time. But then it goes back to the things we talked about earlier, just being a family and enjoying that moment. I think the military provided me opportunities that I wanted to do. I got to go overseas, got to go to Japan, I got to see the UAE, I got to go to Germany, got to see great things in Germany. I think my kids, I hope that they were able to enjoy all their places. I joke at this, but my son, I think, learned what racing is all about in Japan, and my daughter got to learn all about tourism in Europe. I think those are awesome aspects. Although they'll tell you they didn't love going to China, I'm sure they're all internally saying they're appreciative of their mom taking them to China. So again, just enjoying the time that you're there, enjoying the familyism, and the growth that you occur as that 30 years will go quickly, or the 24, or however many years you stay in the service, it will go quickly. But you got to enjoy every moment, and don't take everything so serious, or to the point that you don't enjoy it. You have to enjoy it, because no matter how long you serve, there's going to be learning moments. At the same time, there's going to be enjoyable moments, and there's going to be times that you struggle, but learn from it all.
All right. How hard was it to transition into becoming a civilian again?
It was easier than I thought. I won't say it wasn't a struggle, because I'm used to saying, "Hey, Airman, Mary or John, or I need you to do this," and they do it, versus it's not like that in the civilian world. But I was ready to retire. I knew when I walked into Raytheon, it was a very, very good moment for me. I was mentally ready for it. I was blessed with it. Still today, I pinch myself saying, how did I get so lucky? But I was ready. I think everybody should know that, take advantage of what the transition programs that the military gives you, because they're going to open doors. At the same time, take advantage of some of the VA stuff. Probably started my VA involvement late, but I haven't, been appreciative of what they do as far as the medical aspect, So I really haven't had a difficult time transitioning, because I was ready mentally to retire. But I think that goes with preparation. I think it goes with getting yourself in a mental state ready. Don't delay that. You have to use those services to get yourself ready, and then prepare yourself. And understanding that it is going to be a challenge, but to take that challenge like you did every task in the military, that you're going to accomplish the mission, you're going to accomplish the task, and you're going to do it with great pride and joy.
You have so many medals, you've definitely made the history books. What is the most memorable medal you have received while you were still active?
This is gonna sound strange, but I got two of them probably. I think the first one that was really meaningful to me was an achievement medal. It was an achievement medal that I was an instructor. I went down to Panama to open up a schoolhouse, and me and my partner down there, my coach, instructor, we worked hard to establish that school, and we did it without a lot of leadership involvement. I think we learned leadership through our leader, Sea Master Sergeant Gary Zinzi, But Donna and myself, we took the lead, and we actually built that curriculum. We built the schoolhouse. We built the infrastructure. So I think that was the more meaningful, because we both worked our tails off to get that. And then the second one was the combination I got with Valor during the second invasion of Iraq. More specifically, the accomplishments that we did. Misawa was a little unit that did. We deployed only 12 jets, but we didn't miss a sortie. We did not miss a bombing run, and we were critically involved in the first night infiltration, providing suppression of enemy air defenses and allowing the forces to be able to enter without losing any aircraft that night. But we flew in excess of 800 sorties that trip. Again, the small unit that we had compared to the larger units that deployed, whether it be Shaw, whether it be Seymour Johnson or Lake and Heath, all the airframes that got there. We were the one that flew the most. We put the most hours. So just knowing that small accommodation medal with Valor was probably the most meaningful overall.
If you could give any advice to these young soldiers, Marines, airmen, and seamen, what would the speech be that you'd give?
I think it's to take every opportunity you've given and to lead from the front. Don't let folks attempt to push you. Lead from the front. Do what you know is best. I think that leadership is what we teach folks. So whether it's going through leadership school or taking opportunities to fill a job that is difficult, there's some folks that just feel that certain jobs are maybe below them, but if you do it extremely well, then you're opening the doors up. Whether that is in the military or as you get ready to transition out of the military. I think it's important that you take every opportunity to experience a broader aspect versus staying focused. I think that was one of the things that I did do, is that started out as a radio operator, transitioned to being a leadership school instructor, and got to fill a lot of different career fields, understanding what they do. And then decided as I was transitioning to that is that I loved aircraft maintenance and transitioned there. But I didn't want to just stick in one airplane. I tried to expand out into different. And then last thing I would tell everybody is to take every opportunity you can to expand your knowledge, whether it's on the job training, whether it's through academics, leadership training, or whether it's through the university. Take every opportunity to gain that knowledge, because lack of a better analogy, yes, knowledge is power, but it's going to open up doors for you that you're probably not going to have if you don't. There's a lot of opportunities out there that the military provides you in preparation for your transition, whether you do 4 years, whether you do 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. You have to take all those opportunities. So I would tell them that, again, take every opportunity that the military gives you. Lead from the front. Don't take anything for granted, and then just enjoy the time that you do have. Again, you're going to have ups and downs. You'll enjoy the highs, and then you have to learn from the lows. So I think the critical part is just to enjoy it.
What is the scariest part of being retired today?
I think the scariest part of being retired, period, is the fear of the unknown. Whether it's owning your house for the first time like we did, because we lived in military housing or military subsidized housing, or whether it's the insurance, whether it's do I have enough money to live off of. So the scariest part is the unknown. To some degree, when you're in the military, you're sheltered from some of these things that you didn't understand, like medical benefits, medical health care. I knew very little about health insurance. The new thing is retirement. Although we have a retirement when you do retire from the military, is you go on to work in another corporation. That retirement is totally different than what you had in the military. In the military, we had the top three, or your high three, versus when you get into civil organizations, now it's investment. How do you invest in that stuff? Paying for medical is totally different too. You used to be, want to walk down to get your shot, you just go down there and get your immunizations at the immunization clinic. If you want to go have your teeth cleaned, you go down to the dental clinic. Now I got to pay for all that, and understanding what the health savings plans are at, or understanding what other types of co-pays that you used to have to pay for. So that's probably the fear of the unknown. And I think if I had to go back all again, is I'd probably pay attention more in the transition assistance program to that aspect than I would probably, to find a job. You get a job, and most of us will be able to get that. There's those small things that you just don't know about, that you learn as you experience it. So.
All right, last question. Why do you believe so much in the Mayfield name, and do you think Mayfield Fitness Company can actually help veterans and other service members out there get the help they deserve?
Why do I believe in the Mayfield name? I think what Aaron's company is doing is valuable. I think it's for no other reason than it helps us collaborate, it helps us talk, it helps us share experiences that we'll be able to help each other. It brings that familyism back to civil organizations. Folks that are transitioning out, you may not experience that right away, but it'd be something you can fall back on, very similar to some of the VA programs, and experience that thing. Ask that question that you may feel embarrassed not to, you may feel embarrassed to ask openly, but you might be able to talk to folks that have experience. I think it's important that we still stick together. Again, no matter how many years you honorably served, that you be able to have that group that you can go back and ask the questions or share your information with others that will help your former comrades or your former folks in arms. One of the things we do well in the military is we're always willing to extend a helping hand, extend the family. Even when you retire, this is one organization that is made up of service members that can help us, continue that, providing help to the folks in need as they transition into civilian life.
You've got mail. You've got mail.